The very last verse of John 21:25 reads, Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have enough room for the books that would have to be written. Strange little verse. What's John really meaning there? Because surely he's using hyperbole. The world's an incredibly big place and could contain millions upon billions of books. And yet John is getting us to grasp a little more deeply how great, how immense are the works of Jesus. And there are so many things that Jesus said and did that it isn't possible for us to know about. Just think of someone's life, every conversation, every single thing that they did each day, however many hours they were up, and if that was recorded. Now, if it was your life, or perhaps more mine, sorry, I don't want to be rude, if it was mine, it would be incredibly tedious reading. But of the life of Jesus, the one who never did anything wrong and only said gracious and wonderful things, that would have been fascinating. But what we know is, and what we have confidence is, we have enough of the life of Jesus. Enough to help us see who he really is. Enough for us to understand the way of salvation. Enough for us to be comforted and strengthened and helped day by day. And one day in heaven, I'm sure, as well, we'll find out some of the other things that Jesus did while he was here on earth. But what I love to think and dwell about as well is, Jesus is still working right now. Imagine if everything could be recorded that Jesus has done throughout the whole of history. Then the world surely wouldn't be enough. So, for example, the young mum in Nigeria right now who's a believer and yet is in a Muslim family and is crying out to Jesus for help, and he's there ministering to her, comforting her, strengthening her. What about that young teenage Christian in Australia who's just become a Christian and just posted something on Facebook to tell their friends, and yet they're getting taken the mickey out of, and they're being laughed at and ridiculed online, and yet Jesus is coming and working there as well? What about that Christian elderly woman in Poland who's struggling? She's isolated because of the present crisis, and yet she loves Jesus dearly, and she's asking for him to be her consolation and strength. And he's there with her right now. Oh, the works of Jesus are fabulous. And praise his name, they're still ongoing.